that
Yeah,
I'm live with Gonzalo Lira. Thank you so much for joining me. I posted your video earlier today. There was a lot of controversy about the claims in that video, and so I thought we should reach out to you, the man himself, in order to get the facts on the ground.
sure.
So first, can you tell me where were you when you recorded that video? Was that was in Kiev?
Yeah. What happened was that on Wednesday afternoon, a week ago today, I flew out to Kiev on some business affairs that I had there, and also a bureaucratic kerfuffle that is trivial in the scheme of things. And I went there just for 2 days because I was extremely concerned that the war was imminent, and I was thinking to myself that the war might start in a couple of weeks. And so I figured, well, 2 days I can make it. And I flew in on Wednesday afternoon. And the next morning, bright and early, around 6 in the morning, my assistant gave me a call and told me that Russia had invaded Ukraine. And holy cow. And so here we are. And I stayed initially at the Premier Palace Hotel. And after that, I decided to come back to Kharkov. And initially, it was impossible to return from Kiev to Kharkov. Kharkov is where I live. I've been living here off and on since 2018. And well, anyway, actually, no, excuse me, 2016. My mistake. I got the Alzheimer's, a little confusion there. Anyway, the situation in Kiev was, panic. I was staying at the Premier Palace Hotel, and there were a lot of other journalists there, or a lot of other. I'm not a journalist. I don't consider myself one. I'm just some guy who has a hobby of doing stuff on the internet because I think it's fun. I just think it's funny and stupid, and I just do it for a laugh, to tell you the truth. And I have no idea why I've garnered an audience over the years with the various content that I've produced. But, it's something that I pick up every few years. I started doing a financial blog back in 2010 that kind of like exploded. And then I kind of like quit that in 2013. And then in 2017, I started doing YouTube videos and they blew up. And then I kind of like just got sick of that. And then with this event, I started doing commentary on my YouTube channel about what was going on, and that blew up. And so here I am. I'm in the how can I put it? The enviable or horrifying situation of having front row seats to this invasion. And so it's oh boy. And so far as the videos that I recorded, when this started, of course, I wanted to keep track of my own feelings about the situation and also to share them with whomever would be interested in it. And so I recorded these first-person videos. As I said, I was staying at the Premier Palace, which is right off Krishatik, and between the hotel and Maidan Square is roughly, I don't know, about a mile perhaps. And so it was a good walk, and I did several videos on that stretch, and they kind of blew up. And a lot of people are very, very pissed off at me for some of the things that I said. And
Just to interject, did that include the clip that I posted where you talked about the weapons that had been
yeah,
distributed and the violence by the criminals?
yeah, that particularly was I was demonized for it, and people attacked my credibility. Said I didn't know what I was talking about. Some people claiming that I wasn't even in Kiev, that I was elsewhere. I don't know where.
So we've cleared that up. You definitely you were in Kiev. Can you tell us more about the basis for what you said in the video? Why it is that you believe that there are these criminals in the city who are committing these crimes?
Well, it was what happened in one of those videos that I posted on my Telegram channel. It was just a couple of days ago. I'm walking along, getting to Maidan Square, and all of a sudden there is random gunshot. It couldn't have been more than say 500 to 700 meters from me, at a time when it was very well known that the Russian forces at that time were minimum 20 to 30 kilometers away, if not more, and 20 to 30 kilometers as the crow flies. And so if I'm hearing, random, clearly automatic gunfire within less than a kilometer, it's not the Russians. And yeah, you heard that sporadically throughout the city. And I was in a fairly in a high security area because that area of the city is the well-off people live, and they tend to have private security and whatnot. The hotel itself was, bunkered up, and so yeah, the only explanation was that for that gunfire was criminal activity. Ukraine has very, very strict gun laws prior to this situation. So it makes complete sense. I mean, it's the obvious inference, I mean, you're a lawyer. You know the difference between a deductive inference and an inductive inference. You have a set of premises, the Russians are 30 miles away, or 30 kilometers away, excuse me. You hear gunshots within 500 to 1,000 meters, less than that. For a fact, and the Zelensky regime is saying this consistently, that they're distributing weapons to the citizenry. I mean, 1+1+1 is 3. I mean, we're all grown ups. We know what's going on. And then, of course, you start seeing video footage, and I have seen it, and I'm sure you have seen it, Clint, of criminals just assaulting people in their cars and pulling them out at gunpoint and robbing them and whatnot. I mean, this happens in every crisis situation. Okay, this is not casting any sort of aspersions on the Ukrainian people. I come from Chile, and we have incredible earthquakes. And the number one problem after every earthquake is the looting, because sordid people, low people, take advantage of the situation to loot and steal and rob and do whatever else is on their mind. And sometimes people do this because of, it seems to me, as I've witnessed it personally after the 2010 earthquake in Chile that I experienced. It was an 8.6 earthquake. It was quite the spectacle. People sort of like go nuts, and their inner id kind of like pops out. So it's understandable, and it's not saying anything negative or derogatory to the Ukrainian people. I'm saying that this happens, and it is happening in Kiev at least, and in Kharkov, everyone is too scared to do anything. Everybody's locked in tight right now.
Yeah, tell us more about the situation on the ground in Kharkov right now. What have you witnessed there since you've come back from Kiev?
Well, just this morning at 8 a.m., I witnessed the explosion, two explosions of a building that at this time, and it could be wrong, but at this time, it is said to be a university building. And I have seen video footage that seems very fresh, that seems to indicate that it was an empty university building. I do not know this for a fact at this time. This remains to be confirmed. At this time, as I'm speaking to you, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:06 a.m. Ukraine time. And this happened at around 8 a.m. And I saw the second explosion very, very clearly because I was looking out the window, and I live in a high-rise apartment. And so I had a pristine view of the second explosion. The first explosion, I did not see it, but I did hear it. There was some sort of like a mini jet, like a jet fighter. And last night we heard jet fighters, flying around the city, but it sounded like a jet fighter, but like the volume turned down, like a mini version, if that is, I don't know if it was a missile or a shell. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Sure.
I have no military background, and so I could not tell you if it was a shell or a missile. I can only report exactly what I heard. It sounded like a mini jet, and it was very brief and very like low volume, but you could feel it, hear it. And then there was a loud explosion. And so I went to the window, and I looked out the window. I was actually talking to somebody when this happened. I was talking to my assistant. And I look out the window, and I see shortly thereafter a second explosion. At first, I didn't realize what it was because it just seemed like a flash of orange light. And then shortly thereafter, I saw a mushroom fireball, mushrooming out. And then, and at that time, I thought, wow, the building's on fire. Actually, no, I saw the flash, and I thought, wow, the building seems to be on fire. And then that mushrooming cloud, fireball rather, rising out. And then a second or two later, the sound of the explosion, of the second explosion. And this is a weird thing, and I don't know if it was a subjective perception or not. but it must have been a good 3 to 4 seconds before I felt a blast wave hit me. And I felt it because I had instinctively and not realizing it, had put my hand on the double paned glass, and I felt it swell. I've never felt anything like that before. And yeah, but that was the one thing. And yeah, those are the facts that I saw. Okay. At this fireball, it was a small one. Okay. It couldn't have been more than 3 stories or something like that. I mean, not like a mushroom cloud
I'll,
and a
I'll be
nuclear
honest.
explosion.
To us, that sounds like a pretty big fireball. I mean, that sounds pretty terrifying.
Well, anyway, the point is that then there was smoke. And by the way, at this time, the sky was lead gray.